My father shielded the general from 10 arrows. So I became betrothed to the general's youngest son. I understood that as a country girl, I was utterly unworthy of the young master. He told me not to worry, promising he would treat me well. The young master was perfect, handsome and gentle, though rarely smiling. That day, he dressed me in an expensive white fox fur cloak and took me to my cousin's birthday banquet. The moment I arrived, all the young ladies doubled over with laughter, and the young master smiled too. Only later did I learn that my cousin had told him my eyes were dark and bright, just like the little white dog she kept as a child. He'd remembered it, determined to surprise her. So in his eyes, I was nothing but a tool for amusement. Half a month after the birthday banquet, this incident reignited like smoldering embers, suddenly spreading like wildfire through every street and alley. Now, the Wei Duke's household and I have become the laughingstock of the entire capital. It began when my cousin celebrated her birthday. Xiao Yan sent word to me, saying he would take me to attend. He said that after our marriage, as the heiress of the Duke's household, I would inevitably attend all manner of banquets. Getting acquainted with the daughters of officials now would be beneficial for the future. Xiao Yan had always been distant toward me, so this sudden closeness surprised and delighted me. On the actual day, Xiao Yan personally delivered an exquisitely beautiful white fox fur cloak. I hesitated, after all. It was my cousin's birthday, and wearing white seemed rather somber. Xiao Yan, in an unprecedented gesture, gently pressed my shoulder and said softly, "It's fine. You look beautiful in white." My cheeks flushed crimson, and my heart leapt with joy. I thought to myself that he must like me, though he was usually taciturn and not good at expressing himself. When Xiao Yan and I arrived at the Liu residence, the young ladies from various noble families were already present. They were all close confidants of the hostess, born into nobility and bearing graceful poise. Standing in the garden, each looked like a fairy. I felt a pang of self-consciousness and lowered my head. Xiao Yan murmured softly, "Don't be afraid." Just then, a maid called out, "Oh my! Third Master Xiao and his lady, Miss Hai, have arrived." All turned to stare at Xiao Yan and me. Without a word, they scrutinized me from head to toe. Suddenly, the daughter of the Minister of Rights giggled, and in unison, all the young ladies burst into laughter as if they'd rehearsed it. Their beauty was matched by laughter as sweet as larksong. I was utterly bewildered, standing there like a lost little duckling, feeling uneasy. But even in my clumsiness, I could tell their laughter wasn't friendly. I looked at Xiao Yan. He clearly knew what was going on, biting his lip to hold back laughter, his shoulders twitching slightly. His jade-like handsome face flushed bright red as he secretly waved and shook his head at the young ladies. Then, he looked deeply at Cousin. Cousin's pretty face flushed slightly as she mouthed 2 words to him, "Thank you." Later, I learned that Cousin had once told Xiao Yan, "Hai's face is round, and her eyes are dark and bright. She reminds me so much of the little white dog I raised when I was young. When my beloved dog died, I cried for a long time." Xiao Yan had deliberately made me wear the white fox fur cloak to appear at the birthday banquet, hoping to make his cousin smile. Word of this finally reached Uncle Zhao's ears. After returning home yesterday, the first thing Uncle Xiao did was summon Xiao Yan to question him thoroughly. His face darkening, he ordered Xiao Yan to come apologize to me. Xiao Yan flatly refused, insisting it was merely a joke, nothing serious. As a man of 7 feet tall, the heir apparent of the Duke's household, he saw no reason to bow to a woman. Uncle Xiao flew into a rage and immediately ordered servants to bind his son to a bench. He seized a club as thick as his wrist and beat Xiao Yan mercilessly, cursing as he struck. "If Hai Rong's father hadn't carried me out of the dead and shielded me from 10 arrows and 20 blades, I'd never have risen to be a marquis and general. You'd never have a chance to be heir. You ungrateful beast." daring to humiliate your own fiancé. If you don't apologize to her, I'll beat you to death. Xiao Yan clenched his teeth, refusing to utter a sound, until the beating knocked him unconscious. I suppose Xiao Yan must truly hate me. 2 years ago, when Uncle Xiao brought me back to the Duke's residence, he announced to everyone that when I turned 17, he would arrange my marriage to Xiao Yan. Madame was the first to object. In her early years, Madame had been unable to bear children. Both the eldest and second sons in the mansion were born to concubines, and they had married distinguished young ladies from prominent families. Xiao Yan was born to Madame when she was over 30. She cherished him like the apple of her eye and was adamantly opposed to her precious son marrying a country bumpkin. But Uncle Xiao was a man who never backed down. He bluntly told the lady, "Romer is the daughter of my own savior. She possesses a resilient spirit and quiet intelligence. If my son does not marry her, his title will never pass to him." The threat was unmistakable. Her own family background was unremarkable, and with Uncle Xiao constantly away at war, the couple's bond was weak. Daring not to offend the powerful and influential Uncle Xiao, she swallowed her disgust and accepted me like a fly stuck in her soup. Come evening, I prepared a nourishing soup to replenish his qi and blood, gathered the finest wound-healing herbs, and went to deliver them to Xiao Yan. Upon arriving, Xiao Yan's personal attendant, Tang Yuan, was dozing on the veranda bench. Spotting me, he startled so much he tumbled to the floor. This lad, just 16, a year younger than me, was fair-skinned and delicate, more beautiful than any girl. Xiao Yan favored him greatly. Tang Yuan rubbed his bottom, stuck out his tongue sheepishly, and hurriedly bowed to me. "The young lady has arrived." I looked toward the main chamber. "What is third master doing?" Tang Yuan smiled. "He just finished dinner with Madame and is now reading military texts." I glanced at the food box in my hands and sighed. "So he's already eaten." "Never mind then." Tang Yuan noticed my hesitation and hurriedly added, "You've come all this way, miss. Please don't leave so soon. I'll go announce your arrival." Moments later, Tang Yuan lifted the thick felt curtain and gave me a knowing wink. "Third master invites you in." I nodded and smiled at Tang Yuan in thanks. The moment I stepped inside, a strong medicinal scent hit me. Xiao Yan was lying face up on the bed, covered by a soft goose-down quilt. Sure enough, he was holding a book. I didn't know much about reading, so I couldn't tell what he was looking at. He must have been beaten badly. His complexion was poor, and he looked utterly weak. "Third master." I lowered my head, tears falling. I. Xiao Yan cut me off coldly, not even glancing at me as he turned a page. "Tang Yuan said you came to bring soup? Leave it and return. Rest early." I bit my lower lip. "Does it hurt badly?" I brought some golden wound medicine, a family secret formula. It works wonders on external injuries. Enough. Xiao Yan flung the book to the floor. "Father beat me in front of everyone yesterday to vent his anger for you. Aren't you pleased? Why pretend to be virtuous and kind? It's nothing but disgusting." My face burned and stung as if I'd been slapped. For the first time, I voiced my displeasure. "But if you hadn't dressed me up like a little white dog, Uncle Xiao wouldn't have gotten so angry." "Humph." Xiao Yan scoffed. "Hi Rong. Haven't you ever been a bitch?" "Yes. I almost became one." My father was forcibly conscripted by the court. Years of war wiped out my entire family, leaving only my grandmother and me. When grandmother lay dying, wartime medicine was precious and scarce. Those years, I earned money washing clothes for others, even begged, yet still couldn't scrape together enough for her medicine. The madam of the brothel saw I had some beauty and wanted to buy me. I agreed. In chaotic times, survival was hard enough for the poor, who cared about dignity. Perhaps my father's spirit watched over me. On my first day as a courtesan, Uncle Xiao brought Xiao Yan to find me. That was my first glimpse of Xiao Yan. I'd never seen anyone so strikingly handsome, graceful, noble, and radiating an air of nobility. Uncle Xiao gently stroked my dry, brittle hair, then glanced at his son. "You two are close in age," he said. "You'd make a fine match." I hung my head in shame, my mind echoing 4 words, worlds apart. "You never truly wanted to marry me, did you?" I asked, tears welling. Xiao Yan snorted as if hearing a joke. "Is that even a question?" He glared at me viciously. "It was my father who owed a debt of gratitude, not me. Why should I sacrifice my entire life for it? My eldest and second brothers married noble ladies. Why should I marry someone of your background? Besides, your father was nothing more than a squad leader at best. How many soldiers have died charging into battle for generals over the years? If every debt of gratitude demanded a son to repay it, how many heirs would suffice?" "Stop it!" I shouted at Xiao Yan. "Why not let me speak?" Xiao Yan sneered. "Do you really think my father wanted you as his daughter-in-law? He only did it for his own reputation." I trembled with rage. Yet my tongue felt thick and I couldn't express myself. "You can't speak of Uncle Xiao like that. He's an extraordinary hero. He repelled the enemy and saved me." "Hero?" Xiao Yan sneered with utter contempt. "A general's glory is built upon countless corpses. He's a hero who climbed over mountains of dead bodies. Truth be told, my father was indirectly responsible for your father's death. How dare you marry the son of your enemy? Let's be clear, your father deliberately sent himself to his death to secure a better future for you." Fury gripped me. I grabbed the food box, ready to smash it onto the bed. "Shut up! Don't you dare insult my father and Uncle Xiao. Go ahead. Smash it." Xiao Yan stared at me intently, then suddenly sneered. "Think carefully. If you smash it, I'll have a reason not to marry you. Do you dare? Hai Rong, you're talentless and worthless. Even my cousin's dog is nobler than you. Why do you even exist? Why didn't you become a prostitute sooner?" With that, he turned his head, his voice trembling slightly. "My entire life has been ruined by my father and you. Get out!" Clutching the food box, I stumbled out of the main chamber, my soul shattered. Outside, a crowd of maidservants and matrons had gathered to gawk. Seeing me emerge, they scattered like startled birds. Snow fell from the sky, but my body and heart had long since grown icy cold. Just then, my attendant Tang Yuan approached, holding a brocade box. He looked at me with concern, hesitating to speak. "What is it?" I asked, utterly exhausted. Tang Yuan opened the food box and said cautiously, "I just went home and happened to meet someone from the Liu family. Cousin sent this box of bird's nest cakes to apologize to you. She said she never imagined Third Master would cause you such embarrassment for her sake." I glanced at the brocade box adorned with gold and embroidered colors, and smiled bitterly. A person like me deserves to die. How could I possibly deserve such fine things? Tang Yuan protested urgently. "How can you say that, miss? Everyone knows you've suffered a great injustice this time." With that, she flung the box to the floor and stomped on it several times. "What precious thing is this? As if our marquis's residence lacks such things." She knew perfectly well Third Master was about to be betrothed. Yet she spoke those alluring words. Now she sends cakes with feigned sincerity. Isn't this deliberately slapping you in the face? Tears streamed down my face like beads from a broken string. Tang Yuan hesitated for a moment before pulling a plain silk handkerchief from her sleeve. Holding it out with both hands, she said, "Wipe your tears, miss. This handkerchief is clean. I haven't used it." I froze, my tear-filled eyes fixed on the handsome youth across from me. "Thank you, Tang Yuan." That night, I lay awake until dawn. After much deliberation, As the candle burned down, I finally made a decision. Early the next morning, I dressed neatly and applied light makeup. I sent a maid to request that Uncle Xiao and his wife come to the flower hall immediately, saying I had a matter of life and death to discuss. Urgent. Incidentally, I also had Xiaoyan summoned. By the time I arrived, the Xiao family was already present. Uncle Xiao, enjoying his day off, wore his casual attire. His imposing figure sat upright at the head of the table. Xiaoyan, his hips still injured, leaned on a cane beside his mother. He shot me a cold glance, his face etched with disgust. Madame Xiao held a small rosewood rosary, casting worried glances at her son. She snapped impatiently. What could possibly be so urgent that you summoned everyone here? Don't you know third brother is unwell? Uncle Xiao slammed his teacup onto the table. Ronger is the most respectful and filial. If she called us, it must be important. You're idle all day anyway. What harm could it do to listen to the child for a moment? With that, Uncle Xiao turned to me with a gentle smile and asked softly, "What troubles you, Ronger?" Kneeling on the floor, I bowed my head to Uncle Xiao. "Please dissolve the marriage between me and third master." The word sent shockwaves through the flower hall. Madame clearly didn't believe it, snorting coldly as she kept her eyes closed. Fingering her prayer beads, Uncle Xiao, however, glared at Xiaoyan, helped me up, and smiled gently. I heard the servants gossiping. "Did you go to bring soup to young Master Yan yesterday afternoon? Only for him to give you the cold shoulder again? That good-for-nothing brat." I cut Uncle Xiao off, banging my head against the floor. "Please dissolve the engagement." Uncle Xiao stood up, his brows furrowed in displeasure. "Enough. Stop throwing a childish tantrum. In a marriage, friction and stumbling blocks are inevitable. Never mention this again. I'll pretend I never heard a word today." I took a deep breath, rose, and strode straight toward Xiaoyan. Recalling his contempt and mockery, rage and fury surged within me, stealing my resolve. I swung my arm wide and struck Xiaoyan across the face. Smack! The sharp crack of the slap echoed through the flower hall, startling the maid serving tea into dropping her cup. Xiaoyan's head jerked to the side, his pale face flushing crimson. His mouth hung open, eyes blazing with fury as he glared at me. Madame couldn't sit still any longer and rose in alarm. I turned, flashing Uncle Xiao a bright smile. "Uncle, I'm serious about annulling the engagement. Third master doesn't like me, perfect. I detest him too. I'm an ill-mannered country girl. If we marry, at best we'll bicker and fight. At worst." I left the rest unsaid and turned to leave. Stepping out of the flower hall, a crisp, cold wind swept over me. I once thought letting go would be painful, but after doing it, I realized it wasn't so hard. The sunlight was truly beautiful. Uncle Xiao seemed so enraged that his old ailment flared up. The matriarch frantically called out in the flower hall, "Quick! Fetch the doctor!" The servants bustled about in a fluster. I wanted to check on Uncle Xiao, but I knew I couldn't turn back. Just as I stepped over the courtyard threshold, someone suddenly called out to me from behind. "Hi, Rong!" I stood frozen in place. "Soon." Xiaoyan limped toward me. He showed no sign of illness, his expression light and joyful, as if a heavy burden had suddenly lifted from his shoulders. I. Xiaoyan's hand trembled slightly with emotion. Finally, he managed 3 words, "Thank you." I snorted derisively. Seeing my silence, Xiaoyan clearly felt awkward. Suddenly, he clasped his fists and bowed deeply to me. "Miss Hai, I apologize for my previous offenses. Please forgive me." I hummed in acknowledgement, forcing back tears as I lifted my chin. It's all in the past. Besides, I just got my revenge. Xiao Yin chuckled softly, touching his cheek. He rose with his cane, his expression unusually tender, free of the usual coldness and resentment, his eyes reddening as he choked out. I always knew you were a good girl. I was unworthy of you. And thank you for letting me be with my cousin Qing Yin. I waved my hand, a smile lingering on my lips as I walked away. I had once dreamt a breathtakingly beautiful dream. Only upon waking did I realize how vast the distance between clouds and mud truly was. Xiao Yan, my affection for you ends here. Forgive me for lacking words of blessing. From now on, bridges belong to bridges, roads to roads. May we never meet again. As I reached the rear gate, a familiar figure caught my eye, Tang Yuan. He seemed in pain, pale and slightly hunched, occasionally letting out soft moans. Supporting him was Gunzi, the kitchen errand boy. What's wrong? I hurried over to ask. Tang Yuan, recognizing me, smiled with humble warmth and straightened as if nothing was wrong. He was only 16 this year, not yet fully grown, standing 2 fingers shorter than me. Why are you here, miss? Tang Yuan asked with a smile. I saw cold sweat beading on his forehead and his body trembling slightly. Clearly he was forcing himself to stand. I hurriedly asked, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Before Tang Yuan could answer, Gunzi piped up with a smirk, Miss, you're asking? Yesterday afternoon, Tang Yuan smashed the pastry box Miss Biao sent over to vent his anger for you. Some sharp-eyed fellow must have seen it and went tattling to Third Master. Tang Yuan frantically waved his hands. No. Don't say it. Goon blurted out. Third Master flew into a rage. He ordered the kitchen to make pastries and commanded Tang Yuan to eat them all. Good heavens. 20 platters of meat and vegetables, plus 2 huge bowls of old duck soup. It nearly stuffed him to death. Guilt overwhelmed me. My nose stung. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I bowed my head. I'm sorry. I've brought trouble upon you. Tang Yuan shot a glare at Gunzi, his panic making the sweat on his forehead drip faster. No. 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 Third Master saw how thin I was and took pity on me, treating me to a feast. It has nothing to do with you, miss. Glancing around, Tang Yuan asked suspiciously, why are you out alone, miss? Where are your maids? Those lazy good-for-nothings. They need a good scolding again. I don't need attendance. I won't be staying at the Shao residence anymore. What? Tang Yuan and Gunzi exclaimed in unison. I smiled faintly and told them about the broken engagement. Tang Yuan's eyes widened in shock. He cautiously asked, then, young lady, where do you plan to go next? I lowered my gaze. Back to my hometown. Tang Yuan, but your grandmother passed away. And there's no one left in your hometown. Your household registration documents were transferred to the capital long ago. Without a travel permit, you can't go anywhere. I bit my lower lip lightly. Anyway, I won't be staying here. With that, I lowered my head, bypassed the 2 young men, and walked straight out. To my surprise, Tang Yuan followed. I glared at him. What? Are you trying to persuade me to stay? Tang Yuan smiled. Since you've made your decision, I doubt you'll change your mind. But as a young, delicate lady, traveling alone isn't safe. And once the master wakes, he'll certainly want to speak with you. How about this? I'll have the carriage ready to take you to an inn outside the city. You can take your time to think about how you'll live on your own from now on. My heart warmed. But you're not feeling well. Let's skip it. Tang Yuan shrugged, looking perfectly at ease. It's fine. I'll just accompany you out. Getting some exercise will help me digest my meal. On the 9th day of the 12th lunar month, I left the Shao residence where I'd lived for 2.5 years. To let Xiao Yin go, and to let myself live. curled up inside the carriage. Tang Yuan walked outside, pulling the vehicle toward that unknown distance. Tang Yuan, where are you from? I'm from Yangzhou. My ancestors were wealthy merchants, but our family fell on hard times. With the wars, I ended up selling myself into service at the Duke's mansion. Drowsy, I murmured, from Yangzhou. Huh? No wonder you're so fair-skinned with rosy lips. You're quite handsome. Amid the street clamor, I dozed off, half hearing Tang Yuan say, I'm not handsome, miss. You're the one who's beautiful. I temporarily lodged at a small inn south of the city. Come evening, Uncle Xiao and the madam came to fetch me. My stance was firm, I would not return. The madam, though inwardly pleased, feigned regret with a sigh. She embraced me, wiping away tears as she said, Romer is such a sensible, gentle child. Our youngest simply lacks the fortune to have her. After all this time, this was the first time Madame had ever praised me. Finally, Madame took out 25 taels of silver and forced them into my hands, even insisting on adopting me as her goddaughter. Uncle Xiao suddenly spoke up. He looked at me intently and asked in a deep voice, Ronger, are you truly certain? No regrets? I shook my head. No regrets. I saw Uncle Xiao sigh deeply. He lowered his head in silence, his eyes reflecting complex emotions, his brow furrowed as if weighed down by heavy burdens. After a long moment, Uncle Xiao gave a bitter smile and murmured something I couldn't quite make out. Is it fate? Ah. It seems there's no escaping it. Confused, I asked, Uncle, what can't be avoided? Nothing. Uncle Xiao sat up straight, his expression turning serious. Since you've made your decision, I won't force you. But there are things I must tell you beforehand. First, once you leave the Duke's residence, you will have no connection whatsoever to the Xiao family. As you wished, we will never see each other again. If outsiders ask, you must say the same. Hearing this, I was taken aback. Uncle Xiao had always treated me like his own daughter. It seemed this time, I had truly hurt his heart. I'm sorry, Uncle Xiao. I apologized, lowering my head. Uncle Xiao opened the brocade box he had brought and pushed it toward me. Inside are some money, the deed to a small courtyard south of the city, and 3 shop fronts. Take them. No. 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 I waved my hands repeatedly. I've been so deeply indebted to you and Madam for your kindness. I truly cannot accept any more. I'm not giving it to you for free. Uncle Zhao's gaze grew deep. Since you insist on striking out on your own, let this old man see what you're made of. These things aren't worth much, about 450 taels total. Whether you rent them out or start some other business, you have 3 years. If you can earn 50 taels within that time, it's all yours. If you fail to earn it, then Uncle will reclaim everything. At that point, whether you end up wandering the streets or selling yourself into slavery, Uncle won't care. My heart stirred. Uncle Xiao was encouraging me to become self-reliant and strong. Once I had the ability to earn 50 taels, no matter what circumstances I faced, I could pick myself up again. All right. I nodded firmly in agreement. 3 years later, I won't keep these properties. I'll return everything to the Xiao family. That very night, I moved into my new home. The small courtyard wasn't large, but it excelled in its elegant refinement. With 1 entrance and exit, it contained 6 rooms, and the inner courtyard even had a koi pond. When Tang Yuan and Gunzi had free time in the evening, they came over and helped me thoroughly clean the entire house inside and out. They were quite envious of me, able to establish my own household with such substantial assets in hand. They asked what my plans were going forward. I had given this question serious thought. With so many rooms in the small courtyard, Living alone felt wasteful. I wanted to find suitable tenants to rent them out. This way I'd have company and ensure my own safety. As for the 3 shops, all located on the busiest street, I planned to rent out 2 and keep 1 for myself. I wanted to try my hand at business, though I hadn't yet decided what kind. After a month of hectic comings and goings, I realized I had a major flaw. I couldn't read well and didn't know how to manage accounts. This was a huge problem. So I came up with an idea: hire a female tutor to teach me to read. It's quite funny when you think about it. Those past 2 years, Madam thought I was too unpresentable, so she personally taught me to write. I was utterly overwhelmed. Seeing books made me want to die. I'd much rather learn to cook and make soup from the kitchen maid. I thought serving Xiaoyan well was more important than anything else. After teaching me for a few days, my wife scolded me for being as thick as a log. She even mentioned her niece, Lu Qingyan, a talented young lady skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, whose poetry was praised even by scholars of the Hanlin Academy. Back then, I didn't catch the regret in her voice, nor did I understand why she'd compare me to a noble lady. It turns out, Madam had long known of her son's feelings for Lu Qingyan. Now, I'm eager to study and learn. The more I learn, the more I understand, and the broader my path becomes. A few days later, Tang Yuan brought me news. Cousin Lu and third master's marriage had been arranged, with the wedding set for very soon. So soon? I was somewhat surprised. Tang Yuan warmed himself by the fire, looking at me meaningfully. Somewhat hesitant to speak, cousin is with child. 3 months along. I froze. 3 months, calculating the timing. The conception likely occurred around the time of her birthday banquet. I understood. I snorted derisively, thinking of those noble young masters and ladies, all but a bunch of thieves and whores. On their wedding day, Lu Qingyan sent me a jar of vinegar. I felt nothing. I promptly sold it at a high price. After all, it was vinegar personally brewed by Miss Lu, daughter of the Grand Master of the Imperial Academy. It smelled heavenly. Given my former status, the buyer accepted it without question. With the profits, I bought 2 pieces of furniture for myself and a big pork knuckle. The 2 shops were rented out quickly, both for 3-year leases. For the remaining shop, I began purchasing kitchenware and tables, preparing to open a restaurant. Tan Yuan and Gunzi, fatherless orphans, often came to play at my place when idle. They helped out in the kitchen and frequently brought news from the Shao residence. After the cousin-in-law married in, she and third master were naturally deeply in love. But recently, the Duke seemed to have submitted a memorial, requesting the eldest son be designated as heir apparent. Since the lady couldn't bear children, the eldest son was registered under her name. Having been raised for 7 or 8 years, he technically qualifies as a legitimate heir. This caused a huge uproar, and the lady naturally objected. But Uncle Xiao coldly replied, I made it clear back then, if your son doesn't marry Hai Rong, he won't inherit the position of crown prince. A husband's word is final. Moreover, in terms of virtue and capability, the eldest son stands out most prominently. He has followed me through countless battles, achieving remarkable military exploits. As for your son, you've pampered him like a precious jewel. He excels neither in scholarship nor martial arts, spending his days indulging in pleasure, a complete good-for-nothing. What qualifications does he have to inherit this old man's family legacy? Madam was rendered speechless by this rebuke and fell ill in her fury. Losing the crown prince consort's position she'd held so firmly, Lu Qingyan could not swallow her pride. Competing with the first and second wives for control of the household, she deliberately staged a setup to frame the eldest couple. After consuming pastries sent by her elder sister-in-law, she suddenly suffered a miscarriage. Uncle Xiao quickly uncovered the truth and was deeply displeased. already considering having his son divorce Lu Qingyan. But the matriarch refused outright. Xiao Yan defended his beloved, stubbornly insisting his sister-in-law had harmed his wife and child. He openly accused his father of favoritism and even threatened to move out and establish his own household. In truth, Xiao Yan knew the real situation perfectly well. He lost his position as heir apparent and his child. After his cousin married into the household, she seemed like a different person. She dismissed every decent-looking maid around him and imposed strict rules. He must return home by sunset, or it would be assumed he was seeking illicit pleasures. Depressed, Xiao Yan drank more than usual and ended up with the tea-serving maid. He intended to make that gentle, charming girl his concubine. But the next day, she suddenly stumbled and fell into the well, drowning. Seeing the bloated corpse, Xiao Yan was so terrified he ran a fever for days. From then on, he refused to touch Lu Qingyan. Xiao Yan, is this the kind of wife you wanted? My little eatery has opened, but funds are tight, I can't afford many employees. Fortunately, during my 2 years at the Duke's residence, I learned some cooking skills. Now I just need a suitable bookkeeper and a waiter. Just then, Gunzi rushed over to me. The kid's eyes were bloodshot. He sat down, gulped some cold water, and started cursing. This is outrageous. After dealing with the girls around third master, third grandma has turned her attention to the men. My heart skipped a beat. I immediately thought of Tang Yuan and hurriedly asked, did she hit Tang Yuan? I was beside myself with worry. Last year, Tang Yuan threw away the pastries she sent because of me. Could she be holding a grudge? Goon spat, you guessed right. That heartless woman wants to sell Tang Yuan off. I clenched my fists. Sell her where? Goon slapped his own cheek and muttered. Head bowed, the Xianggu Pavilion. I knew the Elephant Maiden House. As the name suggested, it was a brothel for young women. How could Lu Qingyan do such a thing? Without a word, I rushed out. Guni asked urgently, where are you going, young lady? I spat out. Home to get silver to buy her back. I'd invested heavily in the restaurant. But thankfully, I'd rented out the shop and had some silver on hand. I grabbed it all, hired a carriage, and headed straight for the Duke's residence. When I saw Lu Qingyan again, I never imagined it would be under such circumstances. In just half a year, she seemed like a different person. She was still beautiful, but her eyes and brows now held a calculating, ruthless edge. Cradling a little white dog, she sat upright at the head of the table, sizing me up from head to toe. Suddenly, she let out a snort of laughter. I knew she was mocking me, laughing at how Xiao Yan had once humiliated me in front of everyone, comparing me to a little white dog to win her favor. Laughing at how my dream had shattered. Now she was the esteemed young mistress of the Duke's mansion, while I was just a commoner. Third grandma. I forced myself to bow, suppressing my disgust. Lu Qingyan nearly stroked the puppy, paying me little mind. I took a deep breath and stated my purpose directly. I heard third grandma intends to sell Tang Yuan. Lu Qingyan shot me a sideways glance. Who told you that? I offered a faint smile. Uncle Xiao mentioned it. A chill flashed in Lu Qingyan's eyes as she rose to leave. Wait! I called out just in time. Could you sell Tang Yuan to me? Lu Qingyan covered her mouth with a laugh, her disdain unmasked. What's your relationship? I straightened my back. Friends. Lu Qingyan scoffed. Oh, the friend who stands up for you and visits you often? Don't think I don't know. I clenched my fists. Will third grandma sell her? Lu Qingyan adjusted her hairpin, gazing at me with a mocking smile. Sell? Of course I'll sell her. She's nothing but a useless slave. Keeping her here would only tarnish our family's reputation. 600 taels, will you buy him? Miss Hai? What? My voice rose involuntarily. Third grandma. You can't be joking. Lu Qingyan replied coldly. Does Miss Hai think I have nothing better to do? That I seek amusement at your expense? Though Tang Yuan is lowly, he's quite handsome. Last time young Marquis Chow came for wine, he took a fancy to him and offered a horse of the rare sweat-blood breed in exchange. I protested urgently, but 600 taels? That's far too much. Lu Qingyan snorted coldly, take it or leave it. With that, she carried the dog into the inner hall, a wicked smile spreading across her face. Don't even think about waiting for me to sell him so you can buy him back. I've changed my mind, I won't sell him. I'll keep him in the mansion and torture him bit by bit. First, I'll cut out that tongue of his that talks too much. I glared at her. Let's be clear. Third madam, you deliberately sent that message through the stick to demand this much money from me, didn't you? Lu Qingyan merely smiled, neither confirming nor denying. Finally, she said indifferently, you slapped third master. Our ties are severed. Why should the Xiao family give you so much money? I understood. She knew that Uncle Xiao had given me houses and shops worth 450 taels that night. Not only did she want them back, she wanted more. I sneered coldly. Does Xiao Yan know you're doing this? Lu Qingyan lifted her chin haughtily. This is also third master's wish. I smiled faintly. It seems you two are determined to drive me to my death. Fine. I'll go see Uncle Xiao right now. He's always looked out for me. I'm sure he won't let certain people bully me. Lu Qingyan panicked. Stop. Ignoring her, I headed straight for the exit when suddenly I collided head-on with a man. He caught me in time, hurriedly asking, "Are you okay?" His voice sounded so familiar. I looked up, it was Xiao Yan. He'd lost a lot of weight, and the exhaustion in his eyes was impossible to hide. Third master, I said, glancing at his hand on my arm. Xiao Yan froze, quickly releasing me. Just then, Lu Qingyan rushed over, hooking her arm through his. We were just chatting with Miss Hai. Xiao Yan pushed her away without a flicker of emotion. He pulled a piece of paper from his sleeve and pressed it into my hand. This is Tang Yuan's indenture. Take it. Startled, I instinctively glanced at Lu Qingyan beside him. Sure enough, the woman's face paled as she glared angrily at her husband. I left in such a hurry today, only bringing 100 taels. I pulled out my money pouch from my sleeve and handed it over. Xiao Yan pushed the money back. I sensed his hand trembling. It's unnecessary. Xiao Yan gave a bitter smile. Yuan has suffered much serving me these years. Take him with you. Lu Qingyan shoved Xiao Yan, tears welling as she snapped. What are you doing? Are you trying to humiliate me? Xiao Yan frowned deeply but remained patient. Stop this. Father's health is failing. I hurriedly asked. Is Uncle Xiao unwell? Xiao Yan replied with a faint smile. An old ailment has flared up. Nothing serious. Lu Qingyan clutched Xiao Yan's arm, tears streaming down her face. Why are you speaking to her? Is it unresolved feelings? Then why did you go to such lengths to marry me later? Xiao Yan seemed to be holding back his anger. Don't talk nonsense. Romer hasn't married yet. Don't ruin her reputation. Lu Qingyan's voice sharpened. Reputation? What reputation could a woman like her possibly have? Don't forget Third Master Xiao, you were the one who ruined her reputation back then. Qingyan! Xiao Yan roared. I turned away from them, clutching Tang Yuan's indenture contract and walking out, worried about Uncle Zhao's health. I hurried to Mingyan Hall, only to be stopped by the steward upon arrival. The steward smiled and said, Miss Hai, please return. The master stated he would not see you for 3 years. As he spoke, the steward pulled a money pouch from his sleeve and pressed it into my hand. The master heard you opened a small eatery and was very pleased. However, he cannot visit himself, so he sent this red envelope. The sum is modest, please don't look down on it. A lump rose in my throat, and tears welled up instantly. Uncle Xiao. I knelt and kowtowed, calling out toward the courtyard, "Please take care of yourself. Romer will not disappoint your expectations. I will stand on my own 2 feet." When I saw Tang Yuan again, I was utterly shocked. His clothes were torn to shreds by the whip, his face covered in bruises, his hair a tangled mess like a bird's nest. "Careful!" I rushed forward, supporting him on either side with sticks as we made our way toward the mule cart. In that instant, I suddenly realized something. At the end of last year, this boy wasn't even as tall as me. Just half a year later, he towered over me by a full head. "Ugh!" Tang Yuan gasped, his handsome face flushed with embarrassment. "Made a fool of myself in front of the girl again." I smirked. "It's no laughing matter. I spent 600 taels to redeem you." Tang Yuan's eyes widened in shock. "What?" That. That. I chuckled. "What this? That. And the other? I'm just teasing. Third master gave your indenture to me for free." Goon chimed in from the side. "Oh boy. You have no idea how formidable Miss Hai is. She had third mistress fuming red hot. Heard that Shrew is still arguing with third master in their room." Tang Yuan's cheeks flushed slightly as he stole a glance at me. "Thank you for saving me, miss." "No need to thank me." I curved my lips upward. "Tang Yuan, you're free now. You can return to Yangzhou." Tang Yuan remained silent, lowering his head. Perhaps walking had stretched his wound open. He sucked in a sharp breath of pain. Goonie and I instinctively slowed our pace. Goon chuckled. "Redeeming one is the same as redeeming 2. Miss. Why not redeem me too? I'm quick on my feet. I could run errands for your restaurant." I shot him a glare. "No way." Goon feigned tears. "You only care about Tang Yuan." So biased. Despite his words, when we left the estate, I sought out the steward and redeemed Goon too. By the time we returned, it was already afternoon. The afterglow of the setting sun spilled across the long, quiet road, like scattered specks of gold. Goon, being quick on his feet, went to find a doctor. Tang Yuan lay in the carriage while I pulled it from outside. "Young lady." Tang Yuan coughed, covering his mouth. He lifted the curtain and looked at me. "I'm such a useless person. How could I make you pull the cart for me?" "It's nothing." I laughed. "You've pulled it for me before too." Tang Yuan's face flushed bright red. Young lady. I wonder if I could stay. HM? I didn't quite catch on at first. Tang Yuan stammered in urgency. I am not clinging to you. I just want to help you." "Oops. Wrong, I want to find work." "I mean, I don't need pay. Just a meal a day. Please. Young lady. I'm begging you." His eyes glistened with moisture, brimming with hope. "No," I said. Disappointment washed over Tang Yuan as he lowered his head. I chuckled. No way was just for show. Tang Yuan snapped his head up, trying to stand, but being tall, he whacked his head right on the carriage roof. "Ouch!" He rubbed his head, grimacing. I shook my head and smiled. Watching this silly boy, sit still. You'll just get more hurt. Tang Yuan stuck out his tongue sheepishly and sat back against the wall. After 5 days of recuperation, Tang Yuan refused to stay in bed any longer. He insisted on getting up to help me with the work in management. Truth be told, he had studied under Xiao Yan and was literate. Plus, his family had been in business back home, so he had a natural knack for commerce. He stayed up all night organizing my messy ledgers, breaking down each entry for me, teaching me to write and keep accounts. Not only that, his keen eye for detail led him to scour the market repeatedly, comparing prices of vegetables, meats, and wines across vendors to advise on future purchases. Goon. Ever the smooth talker, greeted customers with a silver tongue, welcoming new patrons day after day. I focused on the kitchen, perfecting each dish. Our eatery thrived. Eventually, I hired a cook and 2 assistants to handle the growing workload. Perhaps feeling remorseful about the past, Xiao Yan visited several times and even brought friends to dine with us. Tang Yuan and I thanked him most politely. I recall his gaze felt odd as he sighed and turned away. On the night of the 15th day of the 8th month, we closed the shop. The cook prepared a feast, and we all sat together to eat and drink. In a haze, I thought I glimpsed Uncle Zhao's figure, a flash. Then gone. I dropped my chopsticks and rushed outside, but found no trace of him. Tang Yuan and Gunzi came running out, asking what was wrong. I said, I thought I saw Uncle Xiao. Tang Yuan scanned the area, shook his head at me, and sighed. The master has been busy lately. He probably hasn't had time to come here. I knew that. Now that I ran the inn, hosting guests from all corners of the land, I occasionally overheard things. The current emperor rose from rebellion. His old comrades in arms were all in theft as marquises and appointed ministers, Uncle Xiao among them. 7 years ago, the emperor began purging his loyal subjects. He established the Northern Command Office, executing the entire household of Chancellor Wan on charges of plotting rebellion and implicating over 10,000 people. Chancellor Wan and Uncle Xiao were fellow villagers, sharing a deep bond. Everyone said it was only a matter of time before it came for Lord Xiao. Yet years passed without the emperor acting. Lately, the imperial guards have been frequenting the Xiao residence, spreading fear and anxiety. I began to piece things together. Why had Lord Xiao been so determined to repay a debt of gratitude, insisting third master marry me? And why, when I insisted on leaving the Xiao household, did he utter that profoundly meaningful statement? In private, when no one was around, Tang Yuan told me that Uncle Xiao was likely pledging his resolve to the emperor. His daughter-in-law came from humble origins. He would never associate with the powerful. He repaid even the smallest kindness with boundless gratitude. His sincerity as clear as the sun and moon. Alas! Alas! Xiao Yan refused to marry me even if it meant death. Business is tough these days. Everyone senses the danger lurking outside. Imperial guards in flying fish robes galloped through the streets. Daily denunciations poured in, and prisons overflowed with the arrested. Word spread that the Xiao residence had already been raided once. Worried for Uncle Xiao, Tang Yuan and I went to plead with him several times. But each time we were turned away by the steward. Uncle Xiao had long made it clear, the Duke's residence had no connection to me whatsoever. And he refused to see me. By year's end, border alerts grew urgent, and the Xiao family once again earned the emperor's trust. Uncle Xiao, aged and gravely ill, could not take the battlefield. First Master was ordered to lead the campaign. By March, reports of defeat reached the emperor's hands repeatedly. Then came news far more dire. First Master had been captured and defected to the enemy. The emperor flew into a rage, ordering the Northern Command to open the imperial prison and arrest both Uncle Xiao and the second master. Upon hearing this, Tang Yuan and I knew the Xiao family now desperately needed both manpower and funds. After discussing it, we decided to liquidate all profits from over a year of business operations. We also reclaimed the shops we had previously leased out and sold them urgently. We then rented an extremely cheap house and sold the elegant little courtyard we had been living in, scraping together about 700 taels. Tang Yuan and I hired a carriage and went to the Duke's residence. The Duke's residence had completely changed. The number of servants had been reduced by more than half, and many areas looked desolate and neglected. The lady was ill. Upon hearing I had arrived, she forced herself to sit up despite her frail state. Ronger, come sit here quickly. The lady patted the spot beside her bed and beckoned me with a smile. My nose stung. She seemed to have aged a decade overnight. Half her hair had turned white. Her face as pale as wax paper. It was clear her condition stemmed from worry. Lady Tang Yuan, and I knelt and kowtowed to her. Glancing around, I noticed only third master attending to her medicine. Lu Qingyan was nowhere to be seen. I asked cautiously, "Where is third madam?" Xiao Yan's brow furrowed deeply, clearly flustered. He forced a smile. "Auntie is ill. She's returned to her family home to tend to her." Without further thought, I had Tang Yuan bring the 700 li banknote and placed it by the mistress's bedside. In a gentle voice, I said, "You must take care of yourself. You must get through this." Tears streamed down the mistress's aged face. She glanced at the banknote, then looked at me. Her trembling hands stroked my arm. After a long moment, she choked out, "When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter." Not a single one of those sycophants who used to come begging at the Xiao family's door, swearing we were close friends, has shown up. We've knelt and prayed until our heads were sore, but no one would help. They all fear being dragged down. Even my own niece. Madam covered her mouth and coughed deeply. "Ronger, you're the only one who came. If only you'd married Yana back then, perhaps." I lowered my head, silent, and turned to look at Tang Yuan. Unnoticed, I caught Xiao Yan staring at me. His eyes reddened. "Please stop worrying so much. Your health comes first." I tucked the quilt around the mistress and urged softly, "Uncle Xiao is a great hero. A founding patriarch. The sage will remember the Xiao family's loyalty and righteousness. Uncle Xiao and second master will surely return safely." The mistress nodded tearfully and lay down to rest. Xiao Yan escorted Tang Yuan and me out of the estate. His expression was desolate as he reached to help me into the carriage. I quietly dodged his hand. Xiao Yan gave a bitter smile, then suddenly fixed me with an intense gaze. "My uncle sent word today, demanding I divorce Lu Qingyan. Ronger, what do you think? Should I agree?" I avoided his eyes. How could I possibly advise on such a matter? "You can." Xiao Yan suddenly grew agitated, grabbing me by the arm. "Ronger, only now do I understand father's deep intentions. Only now do I know who truly holds my heart. Can you?" I offered no reply, turning to Tang Yuan instead. "Stop standing there like a fool. Let's go home." Tang Yuan hurried over, bowing respectfully to Xiao Yan, "Third master, please take care of yourself." The carriage rocked along the street, gloomily lifting the curtain. I snapped at the man seated beside me. "He grabbed my hand just now. Why didn't you push him away?" Tang Yuan froze, his handsome face flushing crimson. His usually sharp tongue stumbled. "Well, you were his fiancée before, while I'm just his attendant. He's the third master. Your master. You were so fond of him back then, and now he's confessed." "Fond of him? My ass. The one I truly liked was." Tang Yuan looked at me, asking, "Who?" I spat out, "A dog." Fuming, I flung the carriage curtain aside and threw a flurry of imaginary punches in Tang Yuan's direction. Several days later, the mistress passed away, with Uncle Xiao and the second master imprisoned. Scarcely anyone came to mourn at the Duke's residence. Tang Yuan and I discussed it and closed the shop to help Xiao Yan arrange the funeral. Throughout the entire process, I never saw anyone from the Liu family. On the day of the funeral procession, the Lius sent people again to pressure Xiao Yan into signing the divorce papers. Xiao Yan flew into a rage, threatening to storm the Liu residence with a knife. But he was driven out of the mansion. Ever since Madame passed away, Xiao Yan seemed like a changed man. He drowned his sorrows in drink daily, weeping when drunk, grabbing my arm in drunken rages, begging me not to leave him, finding him bothersome. I let him go. Tang Yuan urged me to bear with it, so we had the staff carry him to a side room in the back courtyard to sleep it off. Today's fine weather brought many customers to the shop. At a corner table sat several young gentlemen in fine robes and ornate headdresses. Among them was one I recognized, young Marquis Chao, a former close friend of Xiao Yan's. This fellow was indiscriminate in his affections. Years ago, he'd even set his sights on the beautiful Tang Yuan. The young Marquis Chao dined at my shop often and was fairly generous. Occasionally, when drunk, he'd utter some lewd remarks. As long as they weren't too outrageous, Tang Yuan and I would pretend not to hear them. Manager Hai. Have you heard? The young Marquis Chao asked, grinning at me as he was tipsy. I flipped through the ledger. Heard what? The young Marquis Chao snorted derisively. The Xiao family is finished. Just like the saying goes, fortune favors the bold. That young master once dressed you up like a dog to amuse his beauty. Now his wife has run off, forcing him into divorce. Isn't that karma? Everyone burst into laughter. I felt uneasy, unwilling to hear jokes about the Xiao family. I shot the young Marquis a glare and quipped, I hear since losing his wife, the young Marquis has had several matches fall through. Can't even manage his own affairs. Yet he meddles in others? Young Marquis Chao was clearly drunk. Staggering toward me, those common beauties don't interest me. I only fancy someone as lovely as Manager Hai. As he spoke, his hand reached out. I recoiled in disgust. The young Marquis grinned wickedly, brother avenged you. You know, that Lu Qingyan thought the Xiao household was finished. Now she's desperate to divorce and find a new husband. The other day she deliberately ran into me at Sanqing Temple, making out right under the abbot's nose. Just as the young Marquis's hand touched my cheek, I saw Tang Yuan sprinting out. He kicked the young Marquis in the stomach, brandishing a kitchen knife, and hacked at the man like a madman. What are you doing? The young Marquis's face drained white. Clutching his wounded shoulder, he stumbled backward, glaring at Tang Yuan. Do you know who I am? How dare you lay a hand on me? Tang Yuan's eyes burned with fury as he pointed the cleaver at the young Marquis. What's wrong with touching you? Who gave you permission to touch her? The young Marquis narrowed his eyes. So what if I touched her once? Tang Yuan swung the cleaver again, but missed, slicing only the hem of the young Marquis's robe. You bastard! You actually dared! The young Marquis scrambled to his feet, jabbing a finger at Tang Yuan. It was just a joke. What's she to you? Why are you so worked up? Tang Yuan's breath came in ragged gasps. After a long, tense pause, he finally managed. She's my shopkeeper. The young Marquis froze, glancing between us before understanding. He curled his lip, eyed the knife in Tang Yuan's hand, and stormed out, if you can't take a joke, then don't. We're old friends and regulars, no need to draw knives. Scary stuff. I stifled a laugh, walked over to Tang Yuan, and snatched the cleaver from his grasp. Wow. This kid was gripping it so tightly his knuckles were white. Still panting angrily. All right. All right. I gently stroked Tang Yuan's chest and suddenly realized how much he'd grown. I only reached his shoulder now. He was handsome, even when angry. That little bastard! Tang Yuan spat in the direction where the young Marquis had gone, cursing. Back at the Duke's mansion, he was always teasing me. Now he's even stirring you up with his words. Does he think I'm dead? I'm not angry anymore. I casually grabbed his arm and started walking back, smiling reproachfully. You're usually as refined as a scholar, but suddenly losing your temper today really startled me. Tang Yuan naturally took my hand. I just hate seeing anyone bully you. Whoever does it, I'll kill them. My heart warmed. Suddenly, I spotted Xiaoyan standing ahead. Tang Yuan and I exchanged a glance. Oh no, earlier, young Marquis Chao had blurted out all that nonsense about Lu Qingyan. He must have heard it. Third master. Tang Yuan stepped forward, reaching out to steady the swaying man. Xiaoyan glanced at our clasped hands, muttered excuse me, and hurried out. That day, Xiao Yan chased after Chao Xiaohui to settle the score, demanding to know what he meant by those words. Two grown men brawling in the street, utterly disgraceful. Just as Xiao Yan and Lu Qingyan's marriage seemed on the brink of collapse, a twist emerged. After thorough investigation, it was confirmed that the eldest Xiao family patriarch had not defected to the enemy but died on the battlefield. The Xiao family's treason charges were dropped. The emperor, moved, released Uncle Xiao and the second master, bestowing gifts upon them. The duke's mansion reopened its gates. Those who had once shunned the Xiao family now scrambled to pay their respects to Uncle Xiao. After discussing it with Tang Yuan, we also went to visit. To our surprise, Uncle Xiao had us thrown out, and the gifts we brought were tossed aside. The steward publicly rebuked us, "You two worthless servants. When the duke's residence faced hardship, you came to gawk and mock. Now you return to curry favor? Get out! Get out! Don't soil our threshold." Tang Yuan and I were flushed with shame. Reflecting later, we began to grasp Uncle Zhao's deeper meaning. Sure enough, that night, someone suddenly tossed a bundle into our courtyard. Startled, Tang Yuan and I lit a lantern to investigate. Picking up the black bundle and opening it, we found a pair of dragon and phoenix jade pendants inside, along with a peach blossom pattern note. The characters were bold and vigorous, clearly written by a military officer, Uncle Xiao himself. A fine son and daughter-in-law, their bond stronger than gold. May you grow old together, surrounded by children and grandchildren. Ronger, your uncle is well. Thank you for burying your aunt. You and Tang Yuan must live well. May this life be smooth and trouble-free. Burn this letter after reading. Do not come to the Xiao residence again. Take care. After reading the letter, tears streamed down my face. Uncle Xiao, Tang Yuan embraced me, stroking my back as he soothed me in a gentle voice. Court affairs shift like the wind. The old master distancing himself from us is for our own good. I nodded, choking back sobs. Soon after, word spread that Lu Qingyan had returned to the duke's residence with an air of self-importance. With the eldest master fallen in battle, the position of heir would undoubtedly fall to Xiao Yan. Tear-stained, she wailed that it was all her spineless father's fault for forcing her divorce. She claimed to adore third master so deeply that life at her maternal home felt like an endless agony. Rumor had it Xiao Yan scoffed coldly, tossed Lu Qingyan a divorce decree, slapped her twice, cursed her a harlot, then stormed out. Tang Yuan was right, court affairs truly shifted in the blink of an eye. Uncle Xiao, who had recently returned to the estate in triumph, faced impeachment once more. The charges, knowing of Chancellor Li's treasonous intentions years prior yet failing to report them to the imperial court, repeatedly expressing dissatisfaction with His Majesty, and suspected of secretly mobilizing troops against Japan, all pointing to potential rebellion. The imperial prison opened once more, and the Xiao family was confiscated again, this time even more severely. As former members of the Xiao household, Tang Yuan and I were also seized and interrogated in the prison for several days. The deputy commander of the Imperial Guard personally questioned us, promising not only our release but also 100 taels of silver if we confessed to evidence of Uncle Zhao's treason. Such a heartless act was beyond what Tang Yuan and I could ever do. We'd rather die than do it. After enduring several rounds of torture, the guards realized they couldn't extract anything from us. They knew I had indeed returned all the money and property Uncle Xiao had given me, and that he had sent people to curse us as worthless slaves. In the end, it was that smooth-talking young Marquis Chao who interceded on our behalf. Tang Yuan and I were released and allowed to return home. The Xiao family was not so fortunate. Uncle Xiao was forced to take his own life, and all 68 members of the Xiao household were executed. While reviewing the case files, His Majesty came across a confidential report from the Imperial Guard. It revealed that years ago, when establishing the Crown Prince, Uncle Xiao had harshly denounced Xiao Yan as a good-for-nothing, neither skilled in scholarship nor martial arts. The emperor smiled faintly, struck Xiaoyan's name from the execution list, and declared, "Let him be a useless fool." Then, of the entire Xiao clan, only Xiaoyan survived. I never saw Xiaoyan again afterward. Some said he went mad, wandering like a beggar, begging for food. Others claimed he took his own life, his remains devoured by wild dogs. 3 years later, Tang Yuan and I were married. Our business prospered. We opened several restaurants and branched into silk and medicinal herbs. Moving into a larger mansion, our days were filled with vibrant success. Goon, who had journeyed with us, grew weary of the capital. He boarded a great ship bound for the western seas to trade porcelain. On the first day of the 12th lunar month, Tang Yuan and I went to the temple to burn incense. Being pregnant, I craved vegetarian food despite my picky appetite. Tang Yuan eagerly went to ask the head monk for some. Standing by the carriage, my belly protruding, I held onto my maid's hand as we waited. Suddenly, a female beggar threw herself at my feet, clutching my leg. "Kind lady, please have mercy. Give me something." The maid kicked the beggar away. "Get off! Get off! Don't you dare soil my mistress's skirt." "Xiao Chui." I frowned, glaring at the maid. I took a bird's nest cake from the food box, crouched down, and handed it to the beggar woman. "You must be starving. Sister, have some." The beggar snatched the cake and began devouring it greedily. I offered another piece. "Slow down. There's more here." I sighed. Poor soul. In this bitter cold, she wore such thin clothes, filthy and foul-smelling, skin and bones, looking like a skeleton. Her arms were covered in festering sores, as if she suffered from some disease. Suddenly, I realized this beggar woman looked familiar. "You're Lu Qingyan?" I asked in shock. The beggar woman froze, slowly lifting her head. When our eyes met, she shrieked, covered her face, and scrambled away, rolling and crawling as she fled. Just then, a vendor selling incense paper nearby snorted derisively, "Madam, you needn't pity this harlot. I hear she was once the young mistress of the Duke's mansion. Even during her marriage, she was flirting with other men. When troubles struck her family, some died, some were sold off. She ended up buried in the Imperial Music Bureau, contracted a venereal disease, and was cast out. At first, she still relied on her looks to seduce men for scraps of food. Now that everyone knows she's diseased, no one will have anything to do with her." I froze in place. Just then, I heard Tang Yuan calling from behind, "Ronger, why don't we eat inside? The vegetarian meal will get cold if we wait." I turned, offered my tall, handsome husband a sweet smile, and reached out my hand. "I can't walk. Come help me." The end.